We started to think about conference presenting measures to counter illicit financing of terrorism by trafficking of cultural goods from conflict of areas of conflict or simply from areas inside the EU. We try to look broadly, bringing also the transatlantic view and expertise of international organizations.
Well, as Dayash has shown, around the world, around the globe in conflict zones, war profiteers, violent extremist organizations, and armed insurgents are literally arming their cause by looting and trafficking art and antiquities. In large part, Europe and the United States are the destinations for those looted pieces. We have a responsibility, and we have also an opportunity to make a big difference in the global illicit trade.
It is truly an honor to be here, and I want to stress that whatever we have done, both myself and my unit, whether that unit is in New York or in Iraq or Afghanistan, we have been helped throughout the world by extraordinary people in every walk of life and in so many different countries. And it is what, in fact, keeps us going. I grew up as a Greek American in the Lower East Side of New York City with a real love of history. And so when I was in Iraq and realized that the Iraq Museum had been looted, I knew what that meant to history, I knew what that meant to posterity, I knew what it meant to the world, and I knew I had to do something, however little that something was.
It is an issue for the financing of terrorism. It has been, not just for Daesh, as we've discussed in the workshop, but for the Taliban, for Al-Qaeda as well, in Libya, in Afghanistan, in Syria, in Iraq. It is something which was one source of incomes for Daesh, not the most important, we have to acknowledge that, but it's a much wider issue because it has to do with organized crime, not just terrorism, and tax fraud and money laundering. So we have to look at all aspects, not just terrorist financing. We have already done a lot. We have several conventions that member states should sign and ratify. The most recent one is the Nicosia Convention of 2017, which has not been signed by all member states. But we need to invest a lot more in law enforcement by having dedicated units inside the police of the member states, by developing a common unit at Europol. We have no pilot, but it needs to be developed. We probably need to look at whether the legal framework should not be further harmonized. We have different legislation in member states. Some of the experts complain that we had a proliferation of legislation on statute of limitation, burden of proof, on having or not a register in which you have to indicate who is buying something, who is selling something, from where is the good coming, the antiquities coming, and so on. So I think having a common obligation to have for our dealers a register, and hopefully a digital one, seems to be a very good idea. Support member states, third states more. I'm myself very engaged with Iraq. I was in Egypt in the last days. There is a lot we can do to help them to digitalize their patrimonium and finally improve the relationship with Interpol, because that's the agency that can be used by all the players. Having more prosecution would send a strong signal and therefore collect more and share more data.